Peace, peace, peace. Okay, this is gonna be a quick one. Probably gonna step on some toes here and put myself in the crosshairs. Um, but I think this one needs to come out. Just a clip of it. Um, oh shit. Okay. Sorry about that, y'all. Um, y'all probably was there yesterday to see the fiasco that happened, and I apologize for having to go that route. Um, but some people just, that's what they want. This is kind of about that, but not to the point of giving people content. Um, I want to thank that particular stream holder. This is for those of you who know, for letting that stream go on for 19 hours so that nobody else could see it. Okay. Which means we can do it again. We can say all the good stuff without all the trolling stuff that was up there and the crash out session that I happen to be a part of. Okay. But some people want to hear information uh, that ain't got nothing to do with them. And that's not what this is about. And that's not why I'm up here. But I'm still thinking about, the 1776 project and the two narratives, as well as what I presented on Dred Scott um, and the Naturalization Act, and how we've been duped by propaganda on the colorism thing, which I think a lot of people know, but it becomes very problematic when people keep force feeding shit down your throat, saying it over and over again until you can't get out of whatever thought patterns you're in, as far as that's concerned. Uh, Nobody has to tell me what my skin color is, and nobody has to tell me my experiences. Okay. And everybody's experience is not the same. Okay. But this has to do with the colorism thing. And in that aspect, you have to excuse me, I'm making um, a particular tea, so I'm not at the screen right now. I'm making a particular tea for myself. But anyway, probably should have done it earlier, but I had already got ready to start. So anyway, um, people want to keep you in a particular narrative by steadily saying stuff, which if you were there, that's part of the frustration that people waste our time um, with words. Okay, I think I watched one stream that might have lasted 12 hours that they just kept going and going and going with no solution. I'm like, can't you just hit the point? But I don't know. It looked like a slap boxing session to me, and it's like, this is boring. So, anyway, a couple folks pissed me off on yesterday, and I tried to hold it until I couldn't hold it. That shit. So I got three clips. That's why I said this will be a quick one. I have no books pulled out. I have nothing written down. I just have three little clips from um, some videos that I saw, and one of which I had asked Smoke to play, but I think I left, and I don't know if he played it or not. But it's by that guy Bolton or Bolston. Now, some of you know that when it comes to Bolston, I got some reserves, yeah, some reservations. And part of that reservation is, again, how I ran into Shahid Bolston was because of a brother who has an an out of Africa leaning. Okay. And I don't want us to fall into that out of Africa discourse because various reasons, but I'll just put it like this. When me and my sister were sitting down eating and we didn't want to eat our Brussels sprouts, and you know, when I didn't want to eat certain things, my mom said people in Africa are over there starving. She didn't say you could be back over there in Africa starving. She said people in Africa are starving. Okay. Um, just, that bullshit that they've put out. Um, so I didn't want in his, whoever that guy is, his channel. I don't want people to think that I'm supporting a out of Africa, we black and perpetual victims, when I believe that however it's done, because I'll leave it up to the person, however it's done, and by whatever divine intervention it's done, that we can come up out of our situations if we avoid the distractions of uh, people trying to keep us in a type of circular reasoning. Um, I was talking to a friend on last night because we had the opportunity before the video ended to go back and look at what happened on that channel. So I got a witness. I got a recording. But anyway, let's leave that alone. Um, shit, it's another video in there. Oh, this is kind of combining two videos which will remain nameless, but in the area of conversation, some people, like from that video on yesterday, they need to beat you down into submission. They need for you to say that they won, and they need it to be clear cut. Peace to everybody. Peace, peace. I walked over to the computer. I see you guys. Okay. They need you to believe that it's clear cut, that it's this, it's only this, and you need to submit to what it is. Well, I don't really work like that. Okay. And if you guys were there, I'll give you the exact point. You can't go back and listen to it if you were there, and you might not remember it if it wasn't important. But I asked mm, two questions. I asked the sister, "Don't you have a job?" And a brother chimed up, to remain nameless. A brother chimed up and said, um, "And an education," while talking against it. And I didn't say anything, other than what I heard. Um, okay. But I didn't have to beat that person into submission. Okay. That wastes a lot of time. Then there was another part in the stream, which I was commenting on with my friend last night, where I asked the brother, or tell the brother, you know, about starting his own industry, and he says that he's doing this, that, and the other. And it's like, I asked the question, are they all black? Meaning all the people that you're training, are they all black? And he starts to mention, with his slow ass, he starts to mention that he's got a little white girl and two mixed people that he trained under. And I said, if I was the parent of some white children, or okay, that I would pull them from up under him. Now, the other brother in question, to remain nameless, say, wait a minute, what did you just say? You got white folks up under, and what did you just say about white folks? And I make this mention because sometimes you don't have to beat anybody to subjection into subjection. You just got to point them in the right direction and let them think for themselves. I thought I wasn't on the screen. I forgot I put myself down at the bottom. So this isn't about me giving you the answers. It's just pointing you in the right direction. It's up to you to figure out the answers. Okay. Because I know people been running around out here for a little while for a couple reasons, trying to sway the audience. But Bolston had something to say that actually I asked Smoke to play in the midst of and before the last thing happened. But he spoke this shit before it ever happened, and it's for your education, it's for your enlightenment, your erudition. Um, an example, uh, but you got to think your way through. Okay, so let me grab these couple videos here. All right. Peace to you. Hey, hey. Peace to you guys. Truth, I ain't seen you in here. Peace to you, brother. I'll get back over there later on and give you a wrench, my darling. All right, so let me bring a couple videos up for you guys. I think I have them tagged. Each one of them is for a different reason, okay? And I just want y'all to see this real quick, okay? The biggest one is gonna be our brother Rashid Bolton. All right, let me see. Let's go. Since people like to talk about the colorism thing and talk about black Europeans and white Europeans and black and white, let's hear what somebody said who's over there as she was doing her dissertation. Let's bring this up. Okay, let's bring this up. Just a little quick share for you guys. All right, hopefully you guys can see this. And it's real short. I'm only going to play a clip of it. Fair use. Fair use, motherfuckers. Fair use. Okay. But this is there's a person, this is from the British Academy, and the journalist, who is not this woman here, is interviewing this woman. And this woman right here has done a dissertation, but she made a mention of something. I haven't listened to the whole thing. Okay. Let me see. Why history, the hidden histories of Black Victorians. And I caught this part as I was doing something. I said, stop the video right there. I want to use that particular clip because we like doing the colorism thing and swear up and down we know what the hell it is. Listen to this, family.
My dissertation and my PhD, the usual places that you'd look for this kind of information, people that might have done family histories will know that the Victorians produced a huge amount of stuff. They produced the national census, they were good record keepers, they have birth certificates, marriage registers, all sorts of information that you can find out about them. But the colour of a person's skin was not regularly recorded in those archives. So the national census, we don't make a note of what we would today call ethnicity until the late 20th century, actually. Your place of birth is recorded, but if I was particularly interested in Black people, more broadly people of colour who were born in Britain. So a place of birth outside the UK wasn't a great indicator for me. But with the digitisation of things like the census, but also the huge digitization of archives like the British Library newspaper archive, the sort of the ability to search for tiny words has made a massive difference. So I can search for things like coloured and nurse and see what comes up. And there you get to find all sorts of people who were looking for work as nursemaids, as nurses to children in people's homes. You can find ayahs, butlers, men of colour who worked on stage in performances for things like Uncle Tom's Cabin. A whole world has really been opened up by the digitisation of newspapers. There are problems with it. It's not perfect. I've been hoping and trying to find out more about Chinese histories in the late 19th century, and that method through newspapers hasn't been as effective as I might have hoped. So I'm
All right, so family, you see what she says, that there wasn't this distinction of color, that she had to look into it as far as occupation was concerned. But now that it's digitized, looking into that and as occupation, nurses, theater, whatever, that certain things come up. So this whole thing about what we knew way back then about the color of a person's skin, here's somebody that's doing a dissertation on it, not running their mouth online about what they think it is, like myself, okay? Because I don't have a PhD, okay? You know, I just got a little video GED and some damn college credits and shit. Yeah, yeah, my bad. Okay, so but I just wanted y'all to hear that from their own mouth, talking about the Victorian era, that it was hard to distinguish them by color because it wasn't in the records. Okay, so let me check on y'all. I got another video I want to show y'all. Okay. The second one is going to come from Sanchez. Now, this may step on some people's toes. I got to listen to this one. I was like, yeah, that's one reason why I don't want to go back to where I'm from. Okay. But y'all can leave that here or there, neither here nor there. So here's another one that I want to play. Give me a second. Give me a second. Let's stop sharing for a quick second. All right, let me find this other one. And this is still under fair use. But this is from Sanchez on yesterday. If you guys were in the chat, as soon as Root Word said, and I will mention his name, as soon as he mentioned Farrakhan, I remembered that while I was roaming through YouTube, that I saw that Sanchez was up talking about Farrakhan. Okay. And that whole segment of bullshit that went on yesterday until I came off of that panel when I dropped down and said nothing else. There was something mentioned about having another Million Man March stuff. And I was like, wow, people don't, is this synchronicity or is this, I don't know, some espionage type, you know, plays that's going on. Sometimes we don't want to think that people are that in the know. And even if you guys were there and heard me tell the brother, you keep letting him play you. Um, I never mentioned who they were, and I just have to look at things a little sideways and go, really, who are you really playing this for? Okay, but neither here nor there, just some thoughts that I had. Let me find this next video, which many of us know this, but because of the black white paradigm that we have, we don't want to acknowledge it because, well, you'll see when Bolston makes his mention, and that's the biggest one here today in this little quick live is about what Shahid Bosom said about there never will be a revolution in America. But let's check out Sanchez. Watch this. Hold on, let me get y'all in here. Oh shit. Nah, I fucked that up. Hold on. Come back over to you guys. Let me share it here. Okay. This aired yesterday. Sanchez, I'm only playing a clip of yours. Okay. Only playing a clip. All right. Let me make sure that y'all can see here. Okay. Y'all got that. All right. Let me extend that stream. Oh, come on. Stop being an asshole. Okay. There we go. Check this out, y'all. Listen closely.
How did the NOI merge with Scientology? Let me read it to you. I got my receipts right here. I got my sources. Look. Why did they merge with them? I'm going to show you why after this commercial break.
Uh-oh. Sorry, y'all. I'm at the wrong spot. I'm at the wrong spot because it's playing on my TV right now. So let me bring y'all right here. This is where I want y'all at.
They watered it down and they turned it to a good boy movement, put them in a bunch of both not being true Jews. The Nation of Islam you didn't just have everybody with bow ties. You had regular ties for the most part, and dudes was rocking even military gear and carrying guns in the case of Khalid Muhammad. But what they did with Farrakhan, they watered it down and they turned it to a good boy movement, put them in a bunch of bow ties and made them start serving bean pies to everybody. I'm just telling y'all the truth. You may not like it. Now, the thing about the house nigga wears the bow tie. I'm going to say this again because you need to know symbolism. A black man in a corporate business tie looks like a threat to these white people who are practicing economics against us on a corporate level. If this was legitimately a black nation that had black people interests in mind, then guess what? The Nation of Islam wouldn't stand by and allow black people to be exploited economically while it works with the people that's trying to exploit us and tries its best to let them know that we're going to be good to you. We good to Jews. We love Israel. We love the Zionist agenda. So much so that everyone is mad at Vlad because Vlad thought that Farrakhan had smoke for Jews. And I'm saying to myself, why the hell do Farrakhan got smoke for white people, but he don't got smoke for Jews? Because if you don't understand this, guys, the Nation of Islam is a black nationalist religious group that was founded in the U.S. by Wallace Fard Muhammad in 1930. It identifies itself as promoting a form of Islam. Its beliefs differ considerably from mainstream Islamic traditions. They are imposters. Scholars of religion characterized it as a new religious movement. It's a neo-pagan group. Let me break some. It's a Zionist group. It's a group of black people that's really co-opted by the Zionist Jews. But instead of saying we are the nation of Zion, we are the black nation of Zion, instead of them saying that, they hide under Islam, everybody. Right. I'm going to expose to you that their agenda is not an Islamic one because the Islamic agenda is anti-Semitic. That's right. And these guys try all day to make themselves not seem like a threat to the Jews. Y'all don't know nothing. Let me show you something today. Let me show you something today real quick. See, the Jews run the music industry, and Farrakhan is basically a protectors group for the prisoners, the black rap. If you're a black rapper and you go to prison, you're going to become a Muslim. Tell me I'm lying, y'all. Kevin Gates, all of these dudes become Muslims because and ain't nothing wrong with it. I ain't hacking that. But what I'm telling you is that Farrakhan is taking advantage of the prison pipeline system against our boys. He ain't trying to prevent black boys from going to prison. What happens is most Muslims are made in prison. So if you think about most of the men in the Nation of Islam, they became members when they was doing prison bids, just like Malcolm X. That's right. If I had a religious group where over 50% of most of my stand-up male members come from behind prison bars, guess what, y'all? I wouldn't want niggas to not go to jail. I would want niggas to go to jail and become Muslims.
Uh, you can listen to the rest of that. I bet you do, because there's another part in here at the enemy's public where he actually says about their violent work. Well, hey, he's over there. He's got his own channel and you got yours, so y'all handle that. I'm just presenting this for the public, okay? But it's another part over there. No, you can't deny what he said. Oh, my bad. Okay, so let's go to the last one. There's a couple parts in Farrakhan's post. I mean, not Farrakhan. I know we should not say that. It's like saying Candyman, but there's a couple parts in there where he says that uh, not true Islam, and we also know that it keeps that black in the foreground, that black and white in the foreground, and then he makes some other mentions about, you know, um, he mentioned the part about carrying guns that they used to be really militant and they carried guns and then kind of switched that off or whatever. And mind you, I'm from Wisconsin, okay? And I'm not in the nation. I've never been in the nation or anything like that. And I know the organization itself can be real good because I know people who are in it, but then I know there's been some bullshit, okay? Um, and it is what it is, okay? Now let's go to my last clip. All right, because he did make a couple mentions in there about some things, and they may come out in this last video with Shaid. Okay, so let's go to Shaid, and that's what we're going to finish this post out with. Shaid Bolston and what he said about that there will never be a revolution in America, and listen attentively without your emotions as to why he says that. This is about a 15-minute clip. Give me a minute, family. Let me bring him in, and then we'll end this piece right here. Okay. Oh, and don't forget, and please pay attention to free thought when he talks about thinking for yourself. Okay, because we've had a few people, including the shit that happened yesterday, about people trying to control what you think, because a certain person wants people to think a certain way about me that has nothing to do with anybody on this line. If you could go back and listen to that stream, she blurts out some shit, and y'all know who I'm talking about. And then she said, "What do y'all think about that?" This is so that all of y'all can come against me on some shit that ain't got shit to do with you, based on some shit that she don't know, and things going up the rumor mill. Okay, but let her keep trying. She gonna find out some shit. Okay. Um, let's play this last clip.
Oh, there's never going to be a revolution in the United States. There's never going to be a civil war. That's a fantasy that a lot of people have. It's never going to happen. How do I know? Just turn on the radio. Just turn on the television. Go watch the movies. Turn on Netflix. See, there's a chemistry to resistance, to revolution, and so on. Because look, what are we actually talking about with resistance? What is resistance? It's a reaction. A revolution is a reaction, and there's a chemistry to that. A chemistry that determines what the reaction will be, whether the reaction will be combustion or reduction. If it's going to be flammable or not, if it's going to be explosive or not, whether the reaction generates heat or cold or what have you. In America, you may have some elements that would normally be explosive when they're mixed, but other elements are in that mixture that cause the opposite reaction. So you have those elements in America for revolution. You have the elements for civil war, but you have too many other elements that are there to ensure that the mixture remains stable. I mean, you have conditions in America that if those same conditions existed elsewhere, that society would erupt. But you're not going to have any eruption in America except a controlled explosion, like when the police find a bomb, discover a bomb, and detonate it themselves. That's the only kind of explosion that you're ever going to have in the United States at this point. And like I said, all you have to do is turn on the radio to know this. All you have to do is look at their popular media to know this. Because a people capable of revolution has to be a people capable first of imagination. They have to be creative people. In order to have a revolution, you have to have independent thought. You have to have independent thinkers. People who can't think for themselves are never going to revolt. You can't have mental homogeneity across the society where that homogeneity is overseen and imposed by the power structure, and ever expect for that society to rise up against the power structure. And nothing illustrates the absence of imagination, the absence of creativity, the absence of independent thought than your popular media. A society without real art is a society incapable of revolution. And your art is vapid, and it enforces vapidness. That's the relationship between art and society. It reflects and it affects. It expresses how you feel, and it tells you how to feel. And you have become, in America, a people with no artistic language, no vocabulary. You're deprived of even what art is supposed to be for you. More and more of your words are being removed from your artistic lexicon with every passing day. Every day, your music gets more formulaic. Your films get more repetitive. Your literature gets more simplistic, to the point that an AI computer program can produce your songs, produce your scripts and your books. Your creative lexicon is shrinking until you're like a toddler who has no words to identify or to articulate or to understand or to express what he's feeling, what he wants, what he's afraid of, what he's happy about, what he's sad about, so on and so on. You're deprived of the language of human complexity. Because look, take music. Now, as Muslims, we have our own views about music. But the fact is, it's a major factor in the culture of the West. Well, 2 or 3 people write the majority of the top 40 songs in America. The same chord progressions, the same auto-tuned vocals, the same repetitive hooks get recycled over and over and over again. Pop music today is not meant to express anything authentic, anything real. It's meant to be an earworm, designed to be addictive, to be used in TikTok videos, to go viral. It's a product, not an art form. It's assembly line manufacturing for maximum profitization, churning out the same formulas musically that sold well in the past, manipulating predictable and shallow emotional responses through a calculated process. That's not art, that's business. And it's draining your society, it's disconnecting your society, it's dehumanizing your society, and it's programming your society. They're emptying the pockets of your imagination, the pockets of your creativity, of your authenticity, and they're leaving you with nothing but a few counterfeit coins, which you can use, to buy slogans out of the company vending machine. And you'll have to suffice with that as your only form of expression, like buying a bag of empty calories, chips or something during your lunch break. And that's supposed to be your nutrition. Listening to this sort of ear candy is just like subsisting on a bag of chips from the snack machine. Your soul is malnourished. Your mind is malnourished. And look at your films. Every film today is a pastiche, a remake, a reboot, a reimagining of something that was made already decades ago in the past. No originality, no ideas, no exploration of the human condition. Movie studios are an assembly line, manufacturing spectacle without substance. And even the elements of the spectacle have been made before. They shouldn't even call them production studios. They should be called reproduction studios. And again, this reflects and it affects the society. Art is being weaponized, is being instrumentalized, utilized to hypnotize, sterilize, and neutralize the population. They're controlling your emotions. They're controlling your thoughts, your understanding, your perception, how you interact with the world. They don't want a single thought to be in your head that they didn't put there. You understand? They want your brain to be numb. They want your brain to be barren, frigid, incapable of producing anything itself. Entertainers in the West aren't providers of moments of happiness and relief for the masses. They are the equivalent of anesthetists for Joseph Mengele. They want to put you in an induced coma. You are just as incapable of revolution in America as a man who's in a coma is incapable of riding a motorcycle. There's never been a totalitarian society in history that had more control over their population than the system of America, the system in America has over its people. And there's never been a people less capable of resisting or revolting against totalitarian control and oppression than the American people of today. They have disarmed you. I'm not talking about your guns. You've got your guns, but if they were scared of your guns at all, they wouldn't let you have them. So stop talking about your useless guns. Giving you guns is like giving a baby a hammer and nails and expecting him to build a house with it. You won't do anything with those weapons except point them at whoever they program you to point them at. And if they thought for a second that you might actually point those guns in the right direction, well, they'd take them from you so fast it'd make your head spin. No, you've been disarmed mentally. You've been disarmed intellectually. You've been disarmed psychologically, emotionally, and culturally. See, you have a top-down culture in America. You understand? Not an organic from the ground up culture. Your culture is controlled from the top down. Think about that. Stop and reflect on that. Everything that represents cultural expression is a business. It's branded. It's a commodity. It's created, it's crafted, it's molded, it's marketed, and sold by corporations. Your feudal lords, your aristocracy, your oligarchs, the shareholding class dictates to you what your culture is. The rich write your songs. The rich tell you stories in films and television. The rich publish your books. The rich design your fashions. The rich decide what the news will be, what will be reported and what won't be reported. The rich decide what your opinions will be. They even decide what dissent will be. You understand? Yes, even dissent is prepackaged for you. There's an official and accepted pro position and an official and accepted anti position. Every aspect of your culture is micromanaged by billionaires. And understand, this top-down cultural dictation is itself a natural development. That is organic in its own way, because Western culture has always been feudalism. But the extent of control is what has evolved. That's what's changed. The fundamental culture was always there. It was always the same. What has grown and developed is the amount of control, the intensity and the comprehensiveness of the domination and of the pacification of the population. One of the greatest tricks of modern power is that it manufactured its own opposition. You're literally told what the dissenting opinion is or is supposed to be. You're given two sides to choose from, but both sides ultimately serve the same system. That's why elections change nothing, why political debates are just theater, why every controversy is just another episode in an endless scripted spectacle. People believe that they're engaging in resistance, when in reality, they're simply playing their assigned roles in a pre-approved narrative. The system does not suppress opposition, it creates opposition and controls opposition and ensures that that opposition will remain harmless. The range of acceptable thought in the society is narrow by design, obviously. You can question war, for example, but only within the given framework that's provided for you. You can critique capitalism, but only in ways that don't actually challenge corporate control, with an anti-capitalist t-shirt or something that you buy on brand. You can be outraged by corruption, but only if you focus on a few bad apples while leaving the structure intact. But if you step outside of the boundaries of this acceptable discourse, this discourse that is mandated by billionaires, you'll be ignored or you'll be maligned or you'll be dismissed or algorithmically exiled. Now, I'm saying all of this because, people constantly ask, what are we supposed to do? What can we do? What do you suggest? What can we do about injustice? What can we do about corruption? What can we do about all the suffering and the violation of our rights and so forth? And every time the expectation is the same. They want some simple, immediate answer because that's their programming. They want some kind of an action that they can take right now. But this approach is fundamentally flawed because it treats only the symptoms rather than addressing the underlying disease. But the truth is, the crisis is not just one of injustice, it's a crisis of culture. The problem isn't simply oppression, it's a deeply entrenched control system that has shaped the entire psyche of society. Injustice, corruption, oppression, and what have you, that they don't exist in a vacuum. They're manifestations of a broken cultural foundation. Yet instead of recognizing this, people want quick fixes, temporary relief instead of real solutions. It's like a man who's suffering from chronic pain. His body is breaking down because his own lifestyle is destroying him. But rather than trying to adopt healthier habits, changing his diet and so forth, trying to put some effort into actually healing, he just wants something that will numb the pain, not something that will actually fix the problem, fix his actual health. And after time, he'll just become more and more dependent on stronger and stronger painkillers until he can't even function without them, while the underlying illness continues to just get worse. This is the state of modern society in the West, in America. People don't really want justice. They want relief. They don't seek truth. They seek comfort. They don't desire real change. They want convenience. And as a result, they remain in a cycle. Protests, elections, social media outrage, repeating the same pattern over and over and over, expecting different results, but nothing changes because they're treating the symptoms, not the cause. And like I said, culture creates art and art creates culture. So look at the art that your culture creates and look at the culture that your art is creating. Art has been commercialized. Art is commercialized. Music is sterilized. Culture has been pacified. Where are the cultural and artistic voices that shape the system? They don't exist in any meaningful way in America. They've been bought or they've been co-opted. Instead of challenging the status quo, artists are, performing at elite galas. Instead of inspiring some sort of revolutionary movement, they're selling products. They don't question power, they serve power. That's why there'll never be a revolution in America. This is why even the smallest acts of resistance in modern America seem hollow, feel hollow, are hollow. Because they give the illusion of activism without requiring any sacrifice or effort. Opposition is fashion. Activism has been turned into a product. It's a social currency, a momentary trend. And then when it fades, it's replaced by whatever the next cause will be that will capture the public's fleeting attention. The entire society has been engineered for distraction. Entertainment is relentless. Everything is gamified. Everything is turned into a spectacle. Everything is designed to keep people from ever pausing to reflect, pausing to think and to question. And like I said, even if they had a moment to pause, they don't even have the intellectual, psychological, artistic, or cultural language to even articulate their thoughts. You only have the words that the power structure gives you for understanding what they're doing to you. In this environment, how can there ever be a revolution? How's that even possible? If you're people who are addicted to instant gratification, how can they sustain long-term struggle? A society that's conditioned to seek pleasure above all else, comfort above all else, is never going to choose hardship, even if that hardship is necessary for justice. The population has been trained not to endure, but to escape. I said you've been trained to escape, not to endure. You've been trained, you've been programmed to be serfs. That's what you were and that's what you are, serfs and slaves. Only now, escape doesn't actually mean escaping the plantation or the manor or the tenant land. It means just forgetting where you are and what you are. Escape means distraction. It means not even knowing the words to understand that you are a serf or a slave. It means that the songs you sing, the stories you tell, and even the dissent or the opposition that you express are all actually just methods of reinforcing your subject status. And in America, even the dream of liberation isn't really about liberation. The culture and the system created by the culture and the art created by the culture have made the dream not about liberation from oppression, but a dream about becoming the oppressor. That's the American dream. It's a cruel society, it's a cruel system because it's a cruel culture. So, like I say, you want short term symptom treatment, not long term cure of the disease, because the only kind of revolution that you really need in America is a cultural revolution. America doesn't need cosmetic surgery, it needs brain surgery, it needs heart surgery. You don't need a pacemaker, you need a transplant. And unless and until you actually change your culture, the only way that you'll change your system is by changing it to become worse.
All right, so that last one, is what I really wanted you guys to hear, to put it out there. And I played that one in contrast to the Black uh, um, Nation of Islam Farrakhan one because it's a contrast between true Islam and what I feel as well um, Farrakhan represents. Okay. Not that I wanted to tap dance on his, but they're in the news right now, in the social media news. Okay. Um, the brother had a lot to say, but because of this colorism that we utilize, this colorism that are our talking points, if you would, in this community, we will accept what Farrakhan says because of the color of his skin and coming from the islands and Black Power politics. Um, but we will not accept what this other brother said because of his skin color. But the person with, the lighter skin color, Bolston, um, spoke more truth than anything else. Okay. Even the young lady who was in the beginning talking about the Victorian era records, we will, because of colorism, this conversation that we've been having about people who are mixed, we will dismiss her because she is mixed. I literally on this mixed shit. Let me take it a little personal. I thought the shit was funny when Sister Girl said that. I'm not gonna repeat all of it, but I'll just say the part about I have white children. If anybody understood what I was saying about the white in relationship to Haru, they understood where that reference came in at. Okay. But we in this community, even looking at what Bolson has said, we in this community have to be very careful about what we let in our ear gate and what we entertain. Because some people don't know me. Okay. And the actions that that sister is doing is a matter to silence the voice. Okay. Hence, one of the reasons why I have to stand alone in a lot of things, because if I were to express my opinion on everything, 6 months down the line, people who have argued, and I'm not making no names, but people who will have argued with each other will then be friends and I'd be asked out. So um, I do have my opinions about stuff, but for the sake of maturity and not having any residual effects that people can't understand, um, sometimes I just try to stay neutral in certain things, and it's very difficult because I want to say some shit. Um, but in terms of Sister Girl, okay, the things that she said, and it's been a couple other people who have said that as well, about my so-called lifestyle that they know nothing about, put information out there to the public, um, that should not have been put out there. But the problem here is when people who are in the chat, whether it's you guys here or anywhere else, gravitate to that shit like it's true and then start pushing it forward. Now, I'm nobody. I'm nobody. I'm just a social media person, got a channel, okay? That's just working my way through shit like everybody else. But if there's any value to the things that I have brought, any value to the way that I look at things, because at one point I was a breath of fresh air, okay? Now it's a matter of trying to stifle what's being done. Um, you know, root words, she's an Eastern Star and a Mason. No, I buy books. I'm inquisitive. I research things. I'm curious, okay? Um, excuse me. Um, that throwing shade on Masons with false accusations, they're not perfect. No organization is perfect because it's filled with imperfect people. And one of the things that makes our organizations imperfect is those things, biases, prejudices, whatever that we choose, sexism, whatever that we choose not to curtail while we're in our emotional states in discussion. Um, and this is by design. I want y'all to understand that. If you don't understand anything else, this is by design. Okay. Um, and to me, this is the thing that we have to challenge as we move forward in this community, as each and every one of you move forward with your own personal lives, um, to challenge those narratives that people are bringing toward you. See, the one thing that Sister Girl, Crypt Keeper, okay, doesn't recognize is, oh, how can I say this? Um, how can I say this? Um, I forgot my thought, but people can see what you're doing. I just haven't figured out why. I had a thought. I happened to be watching another video, and you know how synchronicity is. You know how I told y'all about the picture that I was trying to fix, that I found that my son has on the other side of the country. He got the same damn picture, synchronicity. I was watching a video, and it was about an undercover agent who was talking about his, uh, what he had to do to infiltrate the KKK, what he had to do to infiltrate certain supremacist groups and stuff like that. And I'm listening to it. I like shit like that. I watch crime videos and all this other stuff. And he goes about this one part of saying that this one place that he was affiliated with on the police side, the law enforcement side, was Rome, Georgia. And it made me think about Sister Girl. Okay. Um, and it's just my speculation. And that I wonder if she's been sent, regardless of whether you like her or not, regardless of whether you think she a OG or not, regardless of whether she been around here for a long time. I mean, I have to think about it. I was told, hit them once, hit them hard, and go on about your business. And I didn't really want to give any content to what happened on yesterday, but I'm an emotional being, okay? I emote, Um, how you gonna be mad at me is something that I never really admitted to anybody into any type of negative way, nor played with anybody in any kind of unprofessional way, if you would. When you sit up here and talk about you got 5 niggas, okay? The, it just it blows my mind, okay? And so I say this because since people want us to group up and pick sides, um, don't find it strange that if you pick the wrong side against Navi, I'm going to say something to you, okay? Because let me put it like this. In some aspects, people want you to tell your story. And I've told it before, which is which is really funny because, Root Word admitted that he heard my story years ago and it almost made him cry. But it doesn't stop him from doing the bullshit that he does up here. And again, I can't understand why people don't check him. Are we that desperate? We that desperate for the entertainment programming that you can't get your people right or hold them to a standard? You know, um, yeah, okay. I certain people I have blocked because I just don't need they shit in my head. But I went looking for her yesterday, and when I saw the picture, I said, "Well, I know what the problem is right there." Hmm. Anyway, we'll leave that alone. Okay. But in terms of that, in terms of the programming and the badgering and the bullying and all of this, when I first came up online, just to give a piece of my story, not the one that she's looking for, but when I first came up online, I was on a site called Pal Talk. And we used to stay up all night like we do right now. And they would play music. Not this nigga. They would play music and we'd talk and videos would be played and all of this stuff that went on. And some people in the middle of the night would need what we call today therapy because they would be in some rural ass place or in some fucking house and they don't know how to make it to the next day. They about ready to give up. And we would minister to them. And I wasn't trying to just so you understand, brother man, you are not welcome on my channel. Okay. So we would stay up all night and we would minister to them. And there were times when people were ready to commit suicide, that people had reached their last of whatever they could reach. And we'd sit up all night and do shit. Sometimes we play Christian music. Sometimes I would do poetry. Sometimes we would laugh and joke. But we understood the responsibility that we had as people speaking to the public. Okay. Um, yeah. And see, it's that simple. Just throw the motherfucker out. And one of the conversations that went on for hours that was like slap boxing happened to be the one that dealt with that nigga that just got booted out of here. Okay. Um, and so, here I'm just trying to develop like everybody else, okay, to get better. But people do this dumb shit of trying to make people think a certain way about people People do dumb shit like coming out telling people what they need to think about a debate before the debate is done. Leave us the fuck alone because we can think. But as you see Boston telling us this is what they want to control. They don't want us to have the ability to think. And this is where it is, not in the bombarding of, how the bully pulpit came out talking about being mixed and having white in your family and all this other stuff. And because I wouldn't let Cherise stand out there on her own, even though I didn't want to get in that conversation, my great, 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 great grandfather is mixed from Barbados. But do I have white children? Nope. Okay. Do I have mixed people in my family? Yes. My grandson is very light. I have two very, very light grandsons. But y'all know that. If y'all been listening to me, y'all know that shit. And that's what causes me pause about this colorism shit. Um, and I wish we would move away from it so that we can do the things that are necessary. Because yesterday, Truth said something very good. Y'all don't like Super, but he was right in there. And Sister Bethy also told people how to handle some shit. And then I came up and said what I had to say. But I just couldn't, my discipline's a little bad because I just couldn't let um, root words rock that shit out. Okay. Um, but as you can see, even looking at what we just listened to, looking at Sanchez and on Farrakhan, when he says they're targeting the prison pipeline, okay, with the music, and we're just gonna ignore it because we like Farrakhan, because we like NOI, or because we're scared. I don't get it. Okay, it's right in your damn face. And when people talk about what organizations we need to join and this, that, and the other, that's one of the clear reasons why I wouldn't join an organization, because they try to stifle you. And they have programs for you, just like people have programs for me in my truck. But when you move past that and you get on the other side of whatever it is that you're doing, you find out what's real. And that's where you have to move at, and that's where you become the minority in all of this shit. The We're gonna take over the world, and we're gonna kick all the white people out, and um, you know, we're gonna run around here and not pay taxes and all of this shit. Um, okay, I haven't listened to Kev in a minute, but it's a pipe dream. It's something that makes you feel good when the real work is doing what you have to do. Like I'm up here right now, okay? I got to do some stuff around the house and run out, and I sat on the couch and played many of video games and all this other stuff, and that's all the fun shit. But the real work that I have to do is all this mail that's all around here that I got to go through. Okay, these things that I have to pay for. That's the real work, not the fanciful. Because we black, we gon' um, suddenly become kings and queens. You're a king and a queen in your own right. You are what you allow yourself to tell yourself you are, and you move with that. You know, um, but all this other bullshit, it's so much bullshit. It amazes me that we have to play the game that we play to get anything done. When you ain't got to cheat to get it done. You ain't got to lie to get it done. You just got to work hard at whatever it is that you do. And that's the tedious work. Because that website that showed me all the shit that I needed to know about trucking, I didn't want to read that bitch at first. And I said, let me buckle down and take some notes. Because if you said this twice, 3 times, I think it's important for me to know this number, this website, blah, blah, blah. And that's what it is. And we have to challenge those narratives that people are putting up here. Or you can keep on playing and then you can keep on complaining. And as we move up the road, as people move up the road, you can't be mad at them. You know, you can't be mad that you're stuck in the same spot. You know, I didn't want people to really hear what Root Wars was trying to push because some of our young people, and they don't have to be young because 30 sometimes ain't young and 40 sometimes ain't young, but to sit and tell people who are listening to you, who possibly could be listening to you, all this victimhood shit, you have to have some kind of empathy to understand how that plays out in their head and how it stifles them or makes them make bad decisions because you gave them no fucking option. Okay? That's where the responsibility comes in. But a person like Root Word hasn't gotten there yet because he still has a teenage child or son. He doesn't have an adult one. He hasn't seen all of it play out the way that it plays out in life for real. Um, it's a lot of things that I could say, but I'm not going to say too much more than that. Let me take this last point because it's not an aha, gotcha moment. But if you guys remember many years ago when we had Grandmaster Flash out here, and the one brother was uh, Aubrey, the one brother that was unalived, the one brother that was unalived, and they got together with their guns and they went to the white man's houses and they stood out front and had a whole march and displaying guns, and then everybody packed up and went the fuck home, and then had other marches and other gatherings and stuff like that, and they say he pointed his gun toward um, some law enforcement officers who were on the roof. Well, he just got charged with 7 years, and that's in the news, and nobody's talked about that. And what happens when you have a movement where people believe in the hope that you set before them and then it fails? It's the same shit over and over again. Ain't no new tricks around here. You cut the head off and the people scatter. Okay? Um, and the people scatter, and that's what has happened. And what Bolston was saying, he was showing you from an outward observation what the fuck is going on in America. Okay? Um, I don't know who y'all talking to. Oh, hating. Yeah, yeah. But I'm gonna get off of here. I'm just gonna tell y'all this. Keep fucking around and you're gonna find out. Some folks pushing some stuff and they're gonna find out. You're gonna allow people who didn't know to know because there's people like myself out here who keep digging into this stuff because the more y'all say, the more stuff y'all make pop up, the more questions we have. And just because we're not bombarding you with the answers don't mean that we don't have the answers and can't see clearly what the fuck is going on. Okay? So, Wolf, stop. Stop. Bruh, stop. Okay? Stop antagonizing them. Okay? Please. Save that for another chat. Stop antagonizing them. And the same for you, Paul Hatton. Can you guys please stop? Okay? Oh, okay. Is that what it is? So y'all can keep that OTK shit over there where that OTK shit is supposed to be. Okay? Please keep that shit off my fucking channel. Okay? So family, I hope you guys gathered something from this. Like I said, I got some work to do, but I'm hoping to find something around here to bring to the table that y'all can use. Okay? So stay tuned. I'll try to come up in between somebody else's, but pay attention. It might be while some other shit is going on at the same damn time, because in some aspects, folks be wasting your damn time. Shout out to BAP. As I'm thinking about it, I did get your email, and I think I responded to you saying that it was okay to use that clip from your channel. But like I said earlier, the video that was up yesterday is it was 19 hours, so it can't be replayed. I'm glad I did get a chance to listen to it with someone, um, so that we could analyze it the way that it needed to be analyzed for what was said. Because if don't nobody know me, my friend knows me. Okay, um, on this LGBT type shit, um, just so people like Jackie Brown will know, I've been dealing with that shit since Facebook. I saw you coming 20 years ago, okay? Or Black Planet and Black Voices, okay? All I have to do is ask why. Why you mad though? Okay? So family, let me get on out of here. We're gonna go on and do this outro. Y'all can go back and play, you know, play it, clip it, find the channels and listen to them. Like I said, the one is talking about British history. She's doing her dissertation, some studies on the Victorian era and researching that. Then you got Farrakhan. I mean, you got Sanchez talking about Farrakhan, and y'all know how that shit goes sometimes. But I thought that was a good one. But check out Bolston. Um, Shaheed Bolston, just keep in mind, I'm not supporting any out of Africa thing, and I'm not looking to be, what is it? Um, oh, I can't say it that way. Um, I'm for the home team, okay? I'm not for anybody outside of that. Um, they use things outside of this country to help to shape the minds, and some of the people who had our best interest in heart, just humanity, if you would, we didn't really hear their voices, and that's why we dig through the archives like we dig through, not official archives, but information the way that we do, because something inside doesn't feel right. Okay, just ain't adding up, you know. Let's talk about this real quick. I did say I was going to get off of here, but let me put this in your mind. When he was talking about art, and I didn't get to say this in one of the chats, but there came a point where they took music out of the schools, and the churches was the ones that were supposed to bring back, um, to give us our children, if you would, that access to music. Okay, and this has to do with our expression and creativity and all of that. And in many aspects, not everywhere, because there's some badass college bands around here doing some things. Um, but because they took that out, that helped to stifle, you know, a lot of our creativity, and we have to be able to keep our creativity and our imagination. Okay. Um, so it's about the art right now. To be perfectly honest, it's about the art right now. Um, Even like when Montegator was up there talking about his wood carving, and I think Super asked him if he was uh, I forgot what he asked him. Um, I think he said artist or something like that, and I said artesian, and then Montegator said he had to go look that word up, and I just sat there and shook my head like, how can you be this old and not know what an artesian is? And like Bolson was saying in here, where he talked about we're like juveniles or toddlers who have lost um, our vocabulary for the most part. This is where it lies right now in language, increasing our vocabulary so that we can express ourselves properly. Um, that goes for me, that goes for many of you. You know, I'm going to put this out here, and I don't know if this will go any further than this. But when I look at Shahid Bolston, if you want to see a debate, you know what a real debate would look like? It would be Alabama and Shahid Bolston. That would be a motherfucking debate. Okay? I would sit and pay for that. So some of y'all who got access, y'all might want to go see if y'all can get that shit done. Okay? Because that would be a good debate. I would love to see that one right there. Okay. So did you say you do meetups on Wednesdays? Is that? Oh, that's for you guys in the chat. Okay, but that would be a hell of a debate right there, just for the being articulate. Because I like the way that Boston didn't really repeat himself when he was saying a few things. But y'all check him out. You know, be discerning with it. Okay, because you know we got um, what they call it. Terrorist, foreign and domestic, if you would. Okay. But for any other thing, just try to get to that other side and see what's on the other side so you can do better. And whatever you got to sacrifice that shit, young folks. I know it's hard. It was hard for me, but it's about our discipline. Because when I look back now and say, I couldn't do this, that's a damn lie. If I would have been disciplined, I wouldn't have had to wait for my husband to pass away to get to this level. Okay. So the problem is with us and not anyone being better than anyone else. Just run the race that's set before you because you ain't in competition with nobody else. You're in competition with yourself. So, family, let me get out of here. Hope y'all found something that y'all can use. Hope to see y'all around here soon. Peace, peace, peace. And thank each and every one of you for coming. Please hit that like button because we got to get up in we got to get up there. I can't do what I need to do until I get up there. All right. So peace, family. Much love to you.